In this lesson, you're going to learn how to communicate your ideas in English very fluently and very confidently. And we're going to do this in a very fun and engaging way. We're going to review a news article together on a current event, and you're going to learn advanced vocabulary, correct pronunciation, and advanced grammar, and you'll do it in a very natural way. Welcome back to JForrest English. I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, I'll read the headline. Burger King must face whopper of a lawsuit alleging burgers are too small, says judge. We're talking about the fast food restaurant Burger King that serves this hamburger, which is called a Whopper. Do you have Burger King in your country? Do you know the name Whopper for this style of burger? If so, let me know in the comments because I'm not sure how well-known Burger King is outside of North America. So here, Burger King must face whopper of a lawsuit. Now, I said that the name of this hamburger is called a Whopper. So if you go to Burger King, you can say, I'll have one Whopper or two Whoppers. You're ordering this hamburger. But that's not how it's being used here because Whopper has another meaning. A Whopper is a noun, and this is something that is much bigger than the usual size. So in this case, it's the lawsuit that is much bigger than the usual size. So it's another way of saying that Burger King must face a very large lawsuit. Now, in an everyday example, you could say that's a whopper of a parking ticket. So you got a parking ticket. The regular parking ticket is about $50 usually, but your parking ticket is much bigger than the usual size. In this case, size meaning the price. So your parking ticket is $300. So you can say that's a whopper of a parking ticket. Notice I added the article a because whopper is a noun and it's a singular noun. So you need an article. They excluded it from the headline because headlines often exclude unnecessary words like articles, but it is required grammatically. That's a whopper of a parking ticket. You could also say that parking ticket is a Whopper. So you're describing the parking ticket. It is a Whopper. It's really big, bigger than the usual size. Burger King must face a Whopper of a lawsuit alleging burgers are too small. So this is what the lawsuit does. The lawsuit alleges that Burger King burgers are too small. Now, allege, this is a verb. The verb to allege, this is when you say that someone, in this case Burger King, has done something wrong, in this case sold burgers that are too small, but it hasn't been proven. So that's the important part. Let's take a look at this example. She stole the money. But someone might correct you and say, she allegedly stole the money. So notice here, it's an adverb because it modifies the verb stole. So it can be used in different forms. If someone corrects you and says, no, she allegedly stole the money, all that means is someone said she stole the money, but it hasn't been proven. So at this point, she's still innocent. She allegedly stole the money. Let's continue on. And before we do, just know that you don't have to write any of these notes down because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. So you can look for the link in the description. Now let's continue. So what do you think? This Whopper, does it look small, smaller than you might see it in an advertisement, perhaps? A judge has ruled that Burger King must face a class action lawsuit. So a class action lawsuit is just when many small lawsuits are combined into one. So rather than Joe, Mary, Susan, Tom, all four of them individually suing Burger King, Now they are suing Burger King as a group. And there's only one lawsuit, but that lawsuit includes many people. And lawyers do this because generally they can get more money if it's a class action lawsuit. So that's what it means, class action. A class action lawsuit accusing the chain. So remember, accuse, this is a word that's also used to say that you say someone has done something wrong, but it hasn't been proven. So at this point, we could say she was accused of stealing the money. Now notice, this is in the passive form, to be accused of doing something, stealing the money. Because we're talking about the subject receiving the action, we're not talking about who is doing the action. But you could absolutely do that. You could say, Bob accused Sally of stealing the money. You could absolutely use it in the active form. Bob accused Sally of stealing the money. So then you could say, Sally, was accused of stealing the money. Then someone might say, Sally stole the money. And then you can say, no, she allegedly stole the money, because at this point is just an accusation. Accusation is the noun form of the verb accuse. So I wrote an example here using accusation. Remember, this is the noun form. You can't trust Bob's accusation. I have to admit that looking at this burger a lot as I'm writing all this, to me, it doesn't look very appealing. That's just my opinion. Perhaps you look at this and you think, oh, that looks delicious. But to me, this burger, this Whopper, does not look very appealing. So I wrote my opinion here, and I use this also because I wanted to teach you the adjective appealing. When something looks or is appealing, it's an adjective, and it simply means attractive or interesting. Now, in this case, attractive in the sense that I want to eat it, but it could be attractive in the sense that it's beautiful to look at or interesting. So attractive can mean many different things. For example, I hope you think that my lessons are very appealing, very attractive, very interesting. So if you do, put that in the comments. Jennifer, your lessons are very appealing. Jennifer, your lessons are very appealing. Put that in the comments so I know you enjoy them. Now let's continue. We are talking about class action lawsuit, accusing the chain. Chain is a company or a restaurant, a store, but there is more than one. So there's a McDonald's in every city around the world. They all serve the same food. So McDonald's is a chain. You can open a restaurant anywhere and it looks the same, it tastes the same, they serve the same thing. That's a chain. So accusing the chain, in this case, the chain is Burger King, of falsely inflating the size of Whoppers. Remember, this is the name of their burger, a Whopper. So falsely inflating, when you inflate something, it means you make it bigger than it is in reality. And falsely comes from the word false, which means you do it when it is incorrect to do so. This is a serious accusation, and a company or the person could be in significant trouble, including going to prison if they are found guilty of this. For example, the company is accused of inflating their profits, making their profit larger than it actually is. Now, this is a very serious offense, but someone might say there's no evidence to support that allegation or that accusation. You could use either one. But here, the company is accused of doing something, inflating their profits. So that's what Burger King is accused of. Falsely inflating the size of Whoppers in advertisements, joining the ranks of other fast food giants like McDonald's and Taco Bell. So if Burger King joined the ranks of McDonald's and Taco Bell, that suggests that McDonald's and Taco Bell have also been accused of inflating the size of their products or accused of false advertisement. And this expression, to join the ranks of, and then you list people or companies, it simply means to become one of a group. So now we can say there is a group of 3 companies, Burger King, McDonald's, and Taco Bell, who have faced lawsuits. So Burger King has joined the ranks. The suit, this is just short for lawsuit. The suit alleges, claims, same thing. So I'll write that for you. Alleges, claims. The suit claims that Burger King made Whoppers appear twice as large as they actually are in advertisements. So you could see an ad and the burger would look twice as big as this, because this is clearly someone's actual picture, because again, in my opinion, it doesn't look very appealing. So Burger King would never put this on an advertisement. It certainly wouldn't convince me to order this burger. While the actual burgers served to customers are 35% smaller than those marketed. So again, if the burgers are marketed, it means you see them on advertisements, whether that is visually, it could be in a magazine, a YouTube video, a movie, and the actual burgers, the one you receive when you order it in a store, is smaller. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. The plaintiffs are the people who accuse someone of something. So the plaintiffs are the people who ordered the burger and said, this is small. This is way smaller than advertised. Those are the plaintiffs. I wrote the definition, a plaintiff there. The plaintiffs claim, again, you could say allege, the plaintiffs claim they were disappointed after purchasing Burger King products based on their appearance in photos, only to find they were smaller when actually served. The plaintiffs say they would not have purchased the food items had they known they did not look like the advertised image. Let's take a look at this grammar structure. I wrote it in a slightly simpler way. If I had known it was so small, it being the Whopper or the food item, if I had known it was so small, I wouldn't have purchased it. This is the conditional, and it's used for a hypothetical in the past. So this first part, if I had known it was so small, this means I didn't know this at the time. I know this now because now I can see it in my hands. But at the time, I didn't know. I didn't know this at the time. I wouldn't have purchased it. But remember, this is the hypothetical. So I did purchase it, but I wouldn't have purchased it. You can reverse this order. I wouldn't have purchased it if I had known it was so small. You can use either order and there's no difference. So I wrote the alternative order as well for you to review. They say, remember the plaintiffs, they say they were deceived. Deceived, that's another way of saying they say they were lied to. Deceived means you received information that wasn't true or wasn't accurate, and that was done on purpose. They were lied to, they were deceived. Deceived is a little more formal way of simply saying lied to. They were lied to, according to court documents. Burger King denied the claims. They're saying, no, that's not true. They denied the claims. Here, because it's the noun form, the claims, you could say the allegations. Allegations. Burger King denied the allegations, the claims, and asked for a judge to dismiss the case. So if the judge dismisses the case, it means it's thrown in the garbage. The judge says, we are not taking this any further. This is over. So the judge is saying this isn't a valid complaint. We're not going to court. That's only if the judge dismisses the case. And a judge will do that because they feel there isn't enough evidence to support the plaintiff's allegations. And ask for a judge to dismiss the case, saying reasonable customers have long been aware that food is styled in ads to make it appear as appetizing as possible. So remember I said that before, you can use appealing to in many different situations. You can use appealing for food. You can use appealing for my YouTube videos. Again, remember, Jennifer, this video is very appealing. Put that in the comments. So appealing for food, a video, a piece of art on your wall, a building, a person can be very appealing. So in many different contexts. But appetizing is only used with food. So you could absolutely say, oh, that burger is so appetizing, which means appealing, but again, it's only used for food, only for food. Okay. So of course they make their ads. This is the short form for advertisement. Their ads as appetizing as possible. And that's just, of course they would. Like I said before, they would never put this on an advertisement because it isn't appealing. It isn't appetizing. Again, that is just, in my opinion, to me. Maybe you have a different opinion. So again, as appetizing as possible. And they are not required to serve burgers that look exactly like the picture. This is what Burger King is saying. Now, let's see what a judge says. The lawsuit is the latest in a string of recent litigation against chain restaurants over their food. Litigation, this is another way of saying lawsuits, a string of recent lawsuits. I want to point out that latest in this context means newest or most recent. I'm pointing that out because if someone says, you're late, you're the latest person in this room, it means you arrived last. Now, in this case, the lawsuit is the most recent. So it's the newest in a string of. A string of, this simply means a series of, so you can replace the word string for series, but it has to be where one happens after the other. So first, McDonald's was sued. Taco Bell was sued. What's another fast food restaurant? I can't think of one. Wendy's was sued. Pizza Hut was sued. Burger King was sued. So that's a string of. It's a series and one happens after the other, and the latest, the most recent, being Burger King. A string of recent litigation, again, just lawsuits, against chain restaurants over their food. Last month, a New York man sued Taco Bell. So this man is now the plaintiff. The plaintiff is the one who sues someone else. A New York man sued Taco Bell for false advertising, claiming, again, we can replace that with what? This is my third or fourth time saying it, so you should know. With alleging, a little more formal sounding, alleging It's Mexican pizza. So this is the product that you can purchase at Taco Bell. Mexican pizza had only about half of the beef and bean filling than he expected. So again, perhaps Taco Bell falsely advertised you get this much filling, but then in reality, it was this much. In March, a Chicago man sued Buffalo Wild Wings. So notice, they're explaining the string of. This is the series. First this happened, then this happened, and now maybe then this happened. So they're listing the series of one happens after the other. That's the string of. In March, a Chicago man sued Buffalo Wild Wings. This must be a chain restaurant. I'm not familiar with it. Buffalo Wild Wings, saying the company's boneless wings aren't wings at all, but actually cheaper chicken breast tenders. So don't worry about what this means. It's just that Buffalo Wild Wings falsely advertised their product. They said you are going to get this, but then in reality, the customer got something different from what they were expecting based on the advertisement that they saw. Buffalo Wild Wings has denied the allegations. Remember, if they deny it, they say that's not true. That's not true. We didn't do that. Denied the allegations. And again, you could say accusations, and is asking a judge to dismiss the case. So this is our second time seeing it. Perhaps I'll write this down for you. If the judge dismisses the case, the easiest way you can imagine this is the judge, she or he throws it in the garbage. They say this case is not valid. So the judge closes the case permanently, throws it in the garbage, meaning it's not going to proceed. It's not going any further. The case is not valid. To dismiss the case. So I'll put that throwing the judge to throw it in the garbage. Saying that boneless wings wouldn't mislead reasonable customers. Okay, so the judge hasn't actually dismissed the case. The restaurant, Buffalo Wild Wings, is asking the judge to dismiss the case. So I'm not sure what the state of this case is. McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's, these are 3 chain restaurants, were all sued last year over the size of their cheeseburgers. So again, if someone sues someone, it means that someone officially says you did something wrong. But remember, that's just an allegation. It hasn't been proven, but you have to go to court. You have to submit your evidence why that person did whatever is wrong, the crime. And then the judge or a jury will decide if it's valid, if you in fact did something wrong. So I'm not sure what the outcome of any of these cases are. I'm actually curious now. So if you know what the outcome of any of these cases are, because some of them are already in the past, did the plaintiff win, meaning that the judge said, yes, you were deceived. Yes, Burger King falsely advertised their product, and now Burger King owes you something. Maybe Burger King has to give you money or give you something else as a penalty. McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's were all sued last year over the size of their cheeseburgers. So again, in the advertisement, the cheeseburger looked like this. You go to Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's, you buy a cheeseburger, and it's like this. False advertising. But remember, that's just an allegation. It has not been proven as a fact. So that's the end of the article. What I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Burger King must face whopper of a lawsuit alleging burgers are too small, says judge. A judge has ruled that Burger King must face a class action lawsuit accusing the chain of falsely inflating the size of Whoppers in advertisements, joining the ranks of other fast food giants like McDonald's and Taco Bell. The suit claims that Burger King made Whoppers appear twice as large as they actually are in advertisements, while the actual burgers served to customers are 35% smaller than those marketed. The plaintiffs claim they were disappointed after purchasing Burger King products based on their appearance in photos, only to find they were smaller when actually served. The plaintiffs say they would not have purchased the food items had they known they did not look like the advertised images. They say they were deceived, according to court documents. Burger King denied the claims and asked for a judge to dismiss the case, saying reasonable customers have long been aware that food is styled in ads to make it appear as appetizing as possible, and they are not required to serve burgers that look exactly like the picture. The lawsuit is the latest in a string of recent litigation against chain restaurants over their food. Last month, a New York man sued Taco Bell for false advertising, claiming its Mexican pizza had only about half of the beef and bean filling that he expected. In March, a Chicago man sued Buffalo Wild Wings, saying the company's boneless wings aren't wings at all, but actually cheaper chicken breast tenders. Buffalo Wild Wings has denied the allegations and is asking a judge to dismiss the case, saying that boneless wings wouldn't mislead reasonable customers. McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's were all sued last year over the size of their cheeseburgers. So, did you enjoy this lesson? Do you want me to make more lessons just like this where we review the news and you learn in this very fun and engaging way? Well, if you do, then give me a Whopper. Give me a Whopper. Put that in the comments. Why not? Even if it does look very small in reality, give me a Whopper. Put that in the comments so I know you want me to keep making videos just like this. And of course, like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And why don't you get started with this lesson where you can learn even more vocabulary to sound fluent? You can watch it right now.